Hey, High Five friends, welcome to another episode of the High Five Preschool and Kids Weekly Training Podcast. We are so excited to have a new month with you. We are in the month of May. Preschool is going to get to share the truth God wants me to tell people about Jesus. In kids, we are talking about how I am here to share Jesus. We've got a new theme. And by the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Crystal Mazuka. I'm part of this incredible High Five team. And I am here with my friends Isaac and Rachel. And we cannot wait to just get loud as we talk about the big news of sharing Jesus and how we're going to amp it up in kids. So, Rachel and Isaac, I have a really fun question to start with you guys. When you
I
think
can't wait
about
to hear
yourselves
it.
as kids, when you think about yourselves as kids growing up in the family that you grew up in, what is a funny rule or tradition that your family had growing up?
Oh, I have one. So our family had this really fun tradition, I guess, when we drove to school every day. And it's really silly, but we changed all the street names that we passed to like goofy, funny street names. And so every day on the way to school, we would try to remember, all the silly like renames we had given each street. And so it was really fun. And it kind of took that dread away of getting up early and driving to school. And it made it really fun and a fun way to interact too.
That is so
That
fun.
is
Now, Rachel,
so
I got
much
to ask,
fun.
you've got two boys. Do you do that with your boys now as you guys are driving to school?
No, I really should start, I think. So I guess we're just not great morning people and we all just kind of sit quietly and drive to school. We should probably think about reinventing that.
That is so fun. You know what? I'm going to encourage anybody listening to this podcast. First off, join the Facebook group and say, Rachel, have you come up with any funny names yet? But then if you want to start coming up with funny names with your kids on the way to school, drop it in the chat and let us just know, like, what are you calling streets? That is so fun. What about you, Isaac? What do you got?
Okay, so this is a fun question because actually last night in my family's giant group text, this kind of came up. So all of my siblings were all adults now. Okay, I have a sister that's like 13 years younger than me though, but she is now an adult. So it's fun because we get to like talk as adults and like the fun things that our parents instilled in us. So last night I said something and I was like, yeah, I mean, that's the second thing mom told us. And everyone at the same time sent in a text and said, oh, yeah, ask for permission instead of forgiveness. Or no, sorry, ask for forgiveness instead of permission. And like we all sent it at the same time from different places. And my mom, she was like, that's not what the second thing I taught you. And we're like, yes, that was rule number 2 is it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And then, but we also did say that rule number 1 is that our siblings are our best friend. So that was like the 2 rules that we lived by in our house. So it's just really fun that even as we've grown up, even as it's been years since like I've lived in the house, my youngest sister just moved out, but it's fun that we all kind of had the same first 2 rules that we all grew up by.
I think that is so fun. And I just think it's amazing to think about just that joy that you can have with family. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with like you and your siblings as you have kids and start having some of those same rules. And, this month we get to talk about just the joy that comes from sharing Jesus. And of course, one of the places that we have the most joy and make the most memory, have the most connections is with family. And so thank you guys for just sort of starting us off by sharing those great times with the people that you love so much. So as we're going to dive into our simple truth for May, I'm thinking about a quote from Flip the Script and specifically the chapter where it's talking about this truth about I am here to share Jesus, this idea that we were made to do this. And Flip the Script says, God designed the purpose and plan for each person's core identity to be part of a movement of extravagant welcome and pointing others to the unending joy of knowing Jesus. I mean, that is just such a great line thinking about we were created in order to be a part of like making this environment of extravagant welcome. And so when you guys think about that, how do you think that hi-fi leaders are going to be able to help teach and shape that truth this month in May?
I think that's so fun because this month in May, our leaders are going to get to welcome kids extravagantly, welcome preschoolers extravagantly, help them know that they belong, not only in their environments and in their churches and their classrooms, but also they belong in the family of God. And that
Mm,
there's this big news for them to hear about how much Jesus loves them. But I think what's really cool also is that the leaders are going to get to model extravagant welcome for kids and for preschoolers
hmm.
because we are going to be talking about how we can also go and tell our family about Jesus. And so the way they're welcomed at church, they can see what that looks like and then be able to go and show it to their family and go and show that extravagant welcome to others too.
Rachel, that is so great. And I love that connection, right? Of like not just kids learning about this extravagant welcome that God has for them, but that leaders are also going to be in the room creating that environment, but also inviting kids in to saying, you get to do this as well. You can be one of those people who's welcoming people in. And one of the ways that you can do that is that exciting thing of sharing Jesus with people, sharing the good news of who he is and how much he loves us. And so in this very first week, we are talking about how we can share Jesus with our family. And our Bible story is the story of Andrew when he meets Jesus in the first chapter of John. He goes and he finds his brother. It's the first thing he wants to do. His brother, Simon, we also know him as Peter. And he's like, I have met him. You've got to come and meet him. So how can we use this Bible story to help teach kids that family is a great starting point when it comes to sharing about Jesus?
I love this. This is probably one of my favorite stories that we are going to cover, honestly, this year at High Five,
Like you
because
say it you say that every time. Every time you say that, you go, this is one of my favorite. I think you just love the whole Bible. I think you just love every
yeah.
Bible story that is in existence. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I just
So
have
here,
to say, listeners, tell me if I'm wrong. Every time Isaac talks about a Bible story, he goes, this is my favorite one that we're doing.
okay. So I think you're probably right. I think I've been called out. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I've noticed it, especially when I go back and edit. I'm like, oh, come on, you said it again. So I'm going to change up my phrase. Here we go. This is the phrase I'm going to use.
Okay,
I
okay.
am very
All right.
excited that I get to teach this story this Sunday at my church. And this is why. And this
There
is
we
why,
go.
because family is such a fun way to like break down some of those barriers, break down some of those scary things.
Mm,
Because I know when I have exciting news that I'm going to go tell one of my sisters. They're probably, aside from my wife, they are going to be probably the first group of people I tell. I got a text message from my sister. She
mm,
just bought a new building for her business, and she sent us a message in our sibling group chat. Look what I got! And she, like literally, as she's walking out of
mm,
the building, we were the first people that she told. So already, we want to share exciting news with our families,
uh-huh.
and this and sharing Jesus is just more exciting news, but it's also the best news that we can share. So if we want
Yeah.
to share with our siblings that, hey, I just made the soccer team. Hey, I just got this part in a play. Hey, I just learned how to play this song on the piano. Do you want to listen? Well, now we get to tell kids that they now have in their back pocket the most amazing news that they will ever have the chance to share, not only with their brothers and sisters, not only with their parents, not only with their grandparents, but their cousins, their aunts and uncles. They have the best news now that they get to share. And just like when you have a fun piano piece that you want someone to listen to, that's the same energy that
Hmm.
we can go into sharing Jesus with others of, hey, you've got to hear this. This isn't something that I just want to keep to
Hmm.
myself. This is something I want to share with you because it is so amazing. And I do love in this story that Andrew had that same energy. And I do love that when he went to Peter, he told him all about Jesus, all about this good news. And that's honestly something that I feel is very accessible to kids, very accessible to preschoolers,
Hmm.
that when they hear this good news this week at church, when they hear this good news this week, wherever you all are doing hi-fi, we want them to have that same excited energy, that same excited passion to go and share that good news with the people that they love most.
Hmm. Absolutely. It is the greatest gift we could ever have is to share the good news of Jesus. And we want kids to know that. And it can sometimes feel a little intimidating. And I don't know, like what I'm supposed to say or where I'm supposed to start. And we just get to let them know, family, the people that you get to spend so much time with, the people that you really are the closest with. They're great people to just share both the good news of Jesus, but also talk about what he's doing in your life. Talk about the good things that are happening because you love Jesus or you're growing in your faith and things like that. So it is indeed a great starting point. So every single month, we offer our volunteers, our leaders, these training videos. And so hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, you also get to see the training video. And specifically, our training video this month talks about how we as leaders can help kids share their faith. And so we sometimes can like use those as the same thing, and sometimes we talk about them as different things. So how would you say that sharing your faith and sharing Jesus go hand in hand?
Well, I would say sharing our faith and sharing Jesus are extremely similar because our faith is based in Jesus and what he's done for us. And so when we
Mm,
share our faith, that pivotal core part is Jesus. And that's who we want people to know and who we want people to hear
hmm
about. And I think about when we teach kids to share their faith, I think a part of that is sharing their story and how Jesus has changed them and
hmm
changed their lives. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a part of this truth and telling people about Jesus and who he is and what he's done for us, but also making it personal and telling our friends and our family about how Jesus has changed us individually and how he's changed our identity and how he's forgiven us. And I think that's really important to equip kids and preschoolers to share about who Jesus is, but also about how Jesus
hmm
has changed them.
Yeah.
That's so true, Rachel. And I think I've shared this on the podcast, but one of my favorite moments, honestly, I've ever had in children's ministry is when a little girl that was in my ministry, she had been baptized and she began to talk to her friend who sat next to her at school, who was also in her team at church. He would have questions and they would just
Mm,
have conversations about what it meant to follow Jesus, why she was baptized, all these things. And finally, that little boy actually came to know Jesus and be baptized. And when I was talking to this little,
wow.
when we were talking to this little girl about this, she said, and we were saying like, hey, you helped him know more about Jesus. She's like, no, we just had conversations. We were just talking. And I feel like that's so important to be
hmm
able to communicate to kids and preschoolers also that this isn't something that you have to have know all of the three circles and be able to draw them out one by one.
hmm
This isn't even something that you
hmm
have to know every reference in the Bible and be able to point them and answer every question. This is just a conversation about how Jesus has changed your life and how now you have faith in what he has done for you and you have faith in what he will do in the plan he has for your life. And you just want to share that and you want that same joy, that same peace, that same hope that you have through Jesus to be shared with the kid sitting next to you at school, the person playing on your soccer team, the person that's
hmm
singing next to you in choir, wherever you are. That's just a conversation about what is important to you that we get to have with the people around us.
hmm Absolutely. I love that. And it's important for us to be able to teach kids and to help them see how to share the gospel, right? Share this is who Jesus is. This is why I believe in him, or why I would hope you would want to believe in him and follow him. But we also get to help kids see that when they share about what God is doing in them and around them, that is also a way that they're sharing Jesus. It reminds me of the Bible story of the man who was born blind and then Jesus heals him. And, like the religious leaders come after him. They're like, who was the person who did this? And they're saying all of this. And he essentially is like, listen, all I can tell you is this is what happened. And we get to encourage kids and say, every single time you share with somebody in your family, this is why I'm excited about Jesus. This is what I learned about in church today. This is what we got to pray for. This is why I'm feeling this way and I'm acting this way and I'm doing this way. They are sharing Jesus with their family. And I just think that is so amazing. And so Hi, Fi friends. We are really excited for you this week and this month, as we know you're in ministry because you want to tell people about Jesus. And now we're going to encourage and equip our kids to tell people about Jesus too. And so join us on Facebook. Let us know how things are going. Post pictures of your games and your crafts and your rooms and all that. And of course, it is spring. Some of you are preparing to wrap up your ministries for summer. And we just also want to remind you, we have this great volunteer event that's available right now, Volunteer Trivia Night. You can find it in advanced planning. It is a super fun activity for all your volunteers. It also has some volunteer appreciation. So check that out. Share the joy, share the love, and share Jesus this week. We will talk to you soon.